Hello and welcome back to Have You Know Game. I'm John Hunter. So this video is essentially a part 2 to a video that I released earlier today discussing games that are currently on sale at Amazon. The video I released earlier covered games that are of a low to mid complexity, whereas this video is going to cover those games that are more of a mid to high complexity. Accordingly, as more complex games, these games will tend to have either a lot more game components or deluxe versions of components, such as using miniatures instead of standees. And for that reason, they tend to be pricier games. So brace yourself for possible sticker shock, even with the sale. If you're not an experienced gamer, you may not be used to seeing game prices at this level. So just be prepared for that. As noted before in my other videos, I don't know how long these sales last. My experience is that sometimes they only last a day. So if there's a game that you're interested in, don't hesitate to pick it up because it may not be on sale for that good price tomorrow. Also, you may want to consider subscribing and clicking the notification button. I'm starting to put out a good bit of these videos for board games that are on sale. And if you get the notification, you can get the information and jump on the sale while you have the opportunity to do so. Also, I always provide links to the Amazon page for these games and also a link to the Board Game Geek listing for the game down in the description of this video. So if anything interests you, feel free to navigate to those links and check them out for further information. Having said that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first up, we have A Game of Thrones, the board game. This game is based on the hugely popular TV series, A Game of Thrones. As you can see over on Amazon, it's marked down 20%, so you can pick it up for just under $52. In this game, 3 to 6 players will use warfare and diplomacy to gain control of the 7 kingdoms and ultimately claim the Iron Throne. Players will use military pieces such as footmen, knights, siege engines, and ships to control the various territories on the board. Now, the thing that's cool about this game is that as the second edition, it actually includes 2 previously released expansions to the original game, and those are A Clash of Kings and A Storm of Swords. As we can see, let me blow this up. Over on Board Game Geek, this game has been rated a 7.5, so it's a good solid rating. 3 to 6 players. It's a long game. It's going to take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to play. It's recommended for ages 14 and up, and its complexity rating is a 3.72 out of 5. Okay, next up we have Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars is currently 22% off on Amazon. You can pick it up for $62.47. Its normal list price is $79.99, so pretty good price on that. So this game is set in the 25th century, and it involves mankind's attempt to terraform Mars and make it more hospitable to humans. Players will purchase and use unique project cards to transform the surface of Mars, harvest its resources, and the different resources involved in this game are credits, steel, titanium, plant, energy, and heat. Players also can place cities, ocean, and greenery tiles as they progress in their terraforming efforts. They also have to monitor the temperature of Mars, oxygen, and water levels as they play the game. Actions taken by the player award them points, and the player with the most points at the end of the game wins. Looking at its information over on Board Game Geek, this has a very high rating of 8.4. This is a hugely popular game. 1 to 5 players can play this game. So to note, this game is solo capable, so If you're someone who doesn't have a regular gaming group, you can get this game and not have to worry about when you can play it. Average playing time is 120 minutes. It's good for ages 12 and up. Okay, let's look at the board game geek information for Terraforming Mars. Huge score, 8.4. That's very high for board games. 1 to 5 players can participate in this game, so that's a great thing. You can play this game solo if you're someone who has difficulty getting a gaming group or you just don't have a gaming group going right now. The average playing time for this game is 120 minutes. Recommended age group is 12 and up, and its complexity rating is a 3.26 out of 5. So it's getting up there, but not the worst that's out there. Okay, the next game that I have for you is Nemesis Lockdown. Currently, it's on sale for 22% at Amazon. You can pick it up for $147.41. I know this is where I was talking to you about sticker shock if you're not used to the more complex games. But nonetheless, you're saving 22%, so there is that. In Nemesis Lockdown, players will explore a Martian facility that's completely infested with hostile alien creatures. Players can acquire items and abilities that will help them complete their assigned objectives. Now, this game uses miniatures to represent the players and the aliens, so that's a big part of the cost involved in this game. But it really makes the game nice. It looks really cool on your gaming table. The game also includes cards, tokens, and dice. When playing this game, the players are able to accomplish their assigned objectives, and they can survive the alien onslaught. They win the game. So this is really cool. A lot of color, lots of pieces. The miniatures are great. As always, any of these games with miniatures, if you want to get fancy, you can always paint up your miniatures because they're going to arrive just gray in the box. But painting's not required. They're still going to look cool unpainted too. Looking at its information over on Board Game Geek, again, another really high rating. It's an 8.4. So if you had a little bit of sticker shock with this game, at least you know you're getting a game that's very highly rated. It's going to be worth the money for you, at least according to all these other people that have rated it. This game can accommodate 1 to 5 players. So again, it's another game that you can play solo. So if you're worried about spending money on a game and not being able to play it, this is not a concern here. The average playing time for this game is 180 minutes. Recommended age is 12 and up. And the complexity rating is a 3.90. So it is getting up there. Probably a good game if you've been pretty experienced with other board games before you jump into this one. Okay, next up we have Space Empires. Currently, Space Empires is 23% off on Amazon. You can pick it up for under $100 at $99.95. SpaceX is a 4X space-themed game, meaning that players will explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate across a hex-based space map in an effort to build the most powerful space empire. The game uses cardboard counterpieces to represent systems, planets, space anomalies, resources, spaceships, and more to represent the elements at play. Players compete against each other by exploring new areas, gathering resources, using those resources to build the biggest and most powerful space fleets, and then engaging them in combat with the other players. Combat is resolved by rolling dice. This is a very immersive game. It's a lot of fun to play. It's got a lot of variety in terms of what types of counters you will be using in the game. So don't sleep on this one. It's definitely worth checking out if you've not heard of it or had the chance to really give it a good look over. Looking at its Board Game Geek information, we can see it's rated as a 7.7, so it's getting up there, not quite an 8, but it's definitely a very strong game. It's designed for 1 to 4 players. So here we have another game that you can play solo if need be. The average playing time is 60 to 240 minutes. I assume that means basically 60 minutes per player. The recommended age for this game is 14 and up, and its complexity rating is a 3.38. I will tell you, this definitely is a game that's on my radar. I've been looking at picking this one up for a while, so of all this list, this may be one of the ones that I decide to grab. Next up, we've got Tera Mystica. You can pick up Tera Mystica for 25% off, just under $60 at $59.97. Now, just be aware, this is not the Terra Mystica big box. There's a version of this that has a lot of, I think, other expansions and all. That's not what this one is. But still a good price for the base game. In Terra Mystica, it's a fantasy-themed game where players will compete against each other over 6 rounds using one of 14 unique different factions. They each have unique abilities, and the players will take actions on their turn to transform the landscape and build structures like dwellings, trading houses, temples, sanctuaries, towns, and strongholds. They must raise their cult points and accumulate power tokens in an effort to acquire the most victory points. The player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins. Looking at Terra Mystica and its listing on Board Game Geek, we can see it's an 8.1, so a very strong game. It's designed for 2 to 5 players. The playing time is average of 60 to 150 minutes. The recommended age for this game is 12 and above, and its complexity rating is a 3.97, so it's another one that's getting up on the higher end. Okay, and the last game that I have for you is Dead of Winter. Currently, that's on sale for 37% off on Amazon. You can pick it up for just under $38. Dead of Winter is a zombie apocalypse survival game. Each player controls a group of survivors that will form a colony in the hopes of surviving the harsh zombie-infested winter. There is a group objective that all the players are trying to accomplish, and then there's also a secret objective that's given to the individual player. The only exception is one of the players will be a traitor to the colony. So there's the whole mechanic of the hidden traitor. Players are going to work together to accomplish that common objective, but they also have to complete their personal objective. Players can be exiled from the game if other players believe that they are the traitor. And finally, the game ends when the group objective is completed, or if the morale tracker for the game drops to 0, or the round tracker reaches 0. Over on Board Game Geek, we can see that this game has a 7.5 rating. It's designed for 2 to 5 players and takes about 1 to 2 hours to play, 60 to 120 minutes. It's recommended for ages 13 above, and its complexity rating is a 3.01, so it just tips into the higher complexity rating grouping. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I know some of these games are a bit on the pricey side, even with the discount, but for the most part, these games have many more pieces and much more complicated mechanics. So if you're an experienced gamer or someone who just wants a more challenging, immersive game experience, one of these games may be for you. As a reminder, in addition to the links to the Amazon pages for these games, the Board Game Geek links for these games are also provided down in the description, so you can get a better feel for each of these games and what they're all about. Let me know if any of these games grab your attention so I can keep an eye out for their sales in the future. With that, I just want to say thanks so much for watching. You all take care and have a great day of gaming.